Hello, my people. I'm Eve Salazar. If you are watching me for the first time, thank you for tuning in. So this is not a fitness or workout video. As you can see, I'm perched in front of my bookcase. This is more of a thoughtful, emotional health video. Okay, so I had a series of interactions yesterday, and yesterday was a rough day for me. I'm on day 8 of being under stay-at-home quarantine orders, and there are many of you who are much deeper into all this than I am. Some of you are on day 13, 14, etc. And my heart goes out to you because this is not easy, boys and girls. This is not easy. This is a marathon we're running, okay? And so to have that longevity and that stamina to get through this, not just physically, right? We want to get to end of this and still have a nice booty. We want to get to the end of this and still, have arms that look like arms and not sausage lumps. But we also want to have a heart that feels safe and comforted. We want to have less anxiety than we started all of this out with. And there are helpful ways in which to be there for the people in your life, and there are unhelpful ways to emotionally be there for the people in your life. And it's not easy to be there for others right now because we are all kind of swimming in this stressful, nebulous time of what the hell and when the hell and how the hell and, when does it end? Is it going to begin again? Are we going to go through this again in the future? And there's just, we're living in a life of question marks right now, and that's not easy. We're having to be very, very present. And I think that we can all learn to be a little bit better at our interactions right now. So we can choose to get better at them, or we can choose to get worse at them. And I didn't have so many great interactions yesterday because I was going a little crazy. When they closed the hiking trails down, the panic started to rise. And I had a few interactions with the people closest to me in my life that were not positive. And I've really tried to sit and sift through what was positive about it, what was negative about it, on their end and my end. And I think that there are a couple of good takeaways. Okay, and this is for me too. So I'm not giving anything without getting something out of this and learning it. And there's a little pyramid I want us to think about, and I call it the compassion pyramid. On the very bottom of that pyramid is pity. And so if someone in your life is coming to you and they're feeling overwhelmed and they're feeling stressed, or they're just having their day where they're like, it's day 10, I can't do this no more, right? And they're like, they're frenetic, or they're being demanding, or you're just on top of each other all day and it's just like enough already. So if you're having kind of that interaction with someone, there's ways to resolve that, right? And if someone comes to you in that state and you're having a calmer day, right, then the very bottom of that tier would be having pity for that person and where they're at, right? And the very baseline pity is, I acknowledge your suffering. I acknowledge that this sucks. It sucks for you. It sucks for me. It sucks for Bob next door. It just sucks. So there's pity right there at the bottom of their little compassion triangle. The next level up from that would be sympathy. Sympathy would be like, okay, pity is, I acknowledge your suffering. Sympathy is, I care that you're suffering, right? So I care that we're in this together. I care that this sucks. I care that it sucks for you and that it sucks for me. Empathy, sympathy is more like, I care that it sucks. Empathy is more that I care and I feel what you're feeling because it sucks for me too, right? So empathy is relating to that person because you're putting yourselves in their shoes. So empathy is higher than sympathy, okay? And then compassion is at the very, very top, because compassion is saying, I want to do something to alleviate your suffering, or I want to be present for you and help you sort through your suffering. So we've got pity, sympathy, empathy, and compassion. And we all kind of vary where we are and how we respond to people. And those are helpful responses, right? So at the very, very, very baseline, if someone's coming to you and they're distressed, they're frustrated, they need to vent, pity is like baseline, right? An unhelpful reaction, and this was a reaction that I got yesterday, is what I call playing the Pollyanna card, right? I also call it Captain Obvious Christianity. And that's where you remind them what it is they have to be grateful for. And it is the height of condescension. And it's always meant well, right? It's always meant well. Oh, but just think of all the blessings in your life. You're not dead in a ditch. You have both your arms, right? Lucky us. Oh, you have your health. You're not like this guy over here who's, having the coronavirus. I don't know why I'm suddenly talking like I'm from Minnesota, but you get my point. To me, that is like Pollyanna, right? That's like playing the glad game or the positivity card, and it's not based in reality, and it's not helpful. When people start doing that with me and they're like, oh, well, just, be so glad that you have your husband and your child and your home studio and yes, I am so grateful for those things, right? Do I need to wear a cardboard cutout or a sandwich board that has a list of the shit that I'm grateful for so that you know that I'm grateful? Because that's how it feels when you condescend to someone like that. And that is very condescending. And to me, what that means when someone goes there is it means either one, they want to shut you up, right? It's basically like, how can I get this asshole to stop talking to me right now? Because I don't want to deal with their problems. And that's not what they probably think in their mind, but it's basically meant to kind of shut you up. It's meant to silence you. And if you're on the receiving end of that whole blessings garbage, and blessings are not garbage, okay? Don't hear me say this and say, geez, she's negative. No, I don't believe that the glass is half full or half empty. I believe that the glass is refillable. And the way we refill that glass is in our positive interactions and by pulling each other up. And it's not by poking someone and reminding them that they have both their arms, right? Does that feel helpful to you? You've just shared with me that you are having this emotional, struggling day, and I go, well, at least you have both your arms. I mean, that's about as useful as tits on a boar. It's really not helpful. It's like a screen door in a submarine. Thanks, I'm still gonna sink because you have not met my needs by being present, by listening, and by hearing what's actually happening and offering something useful in return. So don't do that to people. Do not do that to the people closest in your life. That is not what they're there for. What you can do is meet them with empathy and compassion, right? And remembering compassion is, I want to alleviate your suffering. Empathy, I can relate to your suffering, right? At the very least, go to sympathy or pity. Sympathy, I care about your suffering. Pity, I acknowledge that you are suffering. And let's say you're like, wow, I am just not there. I don't have the capacity to deal with this person's shit because I am so overwhelmed in my own shit. That's okay. That is also realistic. And what you need to do, there are 3 options there, right? So 3 actions to do if you're like, someone's coming at you with, and you're like, whoa, put the brakes on. There's just a whole lot of crazy coming at me right now, and I can be a lot to deal with, right? So the people in my life, like, they're like, I start going, and they're like, oh, dear God, hold on to something. It's not going to be over for a minute. Because I need to sort through the negativity so that I can push that out of my sphere and come to a place of quiet where I can get positive. I can't get there until I've kind of sorted through that and waded through it and talked it out, right? I'm a talker. I've got to hash it out. Now, other people you've also got people who are stuffers, right? But that's not healthy. So if you're stuffing things down, then what you're doing is you're agreeing to deal with it at a later date, or it's going to manifest out of your body in some nasty, nasty way. So I do not recommend stuffing at this time. I recommend finding someone in your life that you can talk to who will be there for you, who can hold the space for you, no matter how you get, right? So if you're someone and you're not in that headspace, though, it's not fair to expect that someone should be in that headspace every time we go to them. And that's where my error was, right? I went to two people in my life who were just not able to hold space for me. And I insisted that they hold that space for me. And I yelled at them when they couldn't hold that space for me. And that's not fair either, right? But they weren't honest about the fact that they couldn't hold that space for me, right? So if you're not able to hold space for someone and to deal with that, or to deal with their level of that, right? Maybe you wish that they would deal with it in a different way. Good luck with that. Have fun with that. Mwah. It's never going to happen, right? So you need to be honest first and foremost. Like, I can't do this right now. I'm overwhelmed too. And that's another way of relating in an empathetic and compassionate place, right? I want to help you. I'm not there right now. Can I call someone for you? Is there someone else you can go to? Can I connect you with your therapist right now? Is there an action I can take that would help to put you with someone who can help you go through this? So that's one option, right? Admit that you can't take it on, put them in touch with someone who can help them. Or two, reschedule. If you think that they can calm down enough and say, hey, if we can hit the pause button, and if you can give me a chance to catch my breath, I want to sit down and hear everything you have to say. And then guess what? Zip it and chuck that key and just listen. Especially if you're a man talking to, or especially if there's a woman and talking to a man, we need the man to just, we're not asking for you to fix the problems, we're asking for you to listen. And if you're not in a headspace where you can do that, you've got to be honest and own that. And if you're a woman and you're like, I'm too overwhelmed to deal with your problems because I got my own shit going on right now, then you also have to own that, right? And be like, hey, now I can't do this for you right now, sister, Can we talk tomorrow? Offer them an alternative, right? So own it, offer an alternative. Or three, meet them with empathy or compassion. But do not play that Pollyanna card. That will do damage to your relationships. It is like death for interpersonal relationships, in my opinion. It's not dealing with that person and where they are. It's wanting them to see the good in the situation so that you don't have to help them sort through whatever it is they're going through. And it's lazy. I think it's really lazy. When we go there with our interpersonal relationships, we're basically going, I don't really want to deal with you right now. But we're not fully owning it either. And save that shit for, your coworkers at Walmart, or, the people in your life that aren't your people. For your people, own that you can't deal with them. Find someone who can for them, reschedule with them, or meet them with empathy and compassion. At the very least, go to sympathy and pity, right? They may be in a moment where their glass is completely empty, and they just need you to sit there and hold the glass for them. You don't have to do anything else. You just have to hold the glass so that they can refill it. It's on them to refill it. It's not on you to refill their glass. So that's how we can really help each other through this period of living together in closer quarters than we're used to, being on top of each other. And for those of us who are very external processors, we have to try to hit the pause button. That can be very hard, but we have to try to hit the pause button and look at this other person or hear them and maybe notice, like, are they just not able to hold my glass for me right now? Right? And if they aren't, I need to knock on another door. And that's something that's very hard for me to do. But sometimes, sometimes this person over here is not going to hold your glass for you while you refill it. Sometimes they're going to drop it and it's going to shatter all over the damn floor and you're going to have to get your broom out. And you're going to have to try again tomorrow. So here I am trying again tomorrow. And this is life. It's messy. It's unpredictable. And there's a lot of blessings, and there is a lot that I'm grateful for, including the fact that I have two arms. So I did not mean to diminish that. I'm not trying to be an ableist here. I am very, very grateful for my blessings. And thank you for holding my glass. I enjoy holding yours for you too.